My name is Ellie Cooper, and I am interviewing Miss Charlotte Bussman on March 31st, 2017. Good morning, Miss Bussman. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day and agreeing to speak with me today.
Good morning.
How did you come to live in our community?
I came here in 1978, and we had chosen to live in Cooperstown, in the village of Cooperstown, because we fell in love with Cooperstown. We thought it was a great place to live and to raise children. And we had purchased a business, and so we became residents of Cooperstown in 1978, and we still love it.
Were you born here, or did you move here from another place?
I was not born in Cooperstown. We moved here, my husband and I moved here from New Jersey, but I was actually born in Germany.
Were you ever a Girl Scout? Or can you tell me what life was like for you growing up?
I was never a Girl Scout, but I was an assistant Girl Scout leader for my daughter here in Cooperstown. And what was life like for me growing up? Pretty much the same as it is for you here. I went to school, I went to church with my family, I went to a girls group, a church group, went to camp in the summer. That's about it as far as me growing up. I was 22 years old when I left Germany and came to the United States to work, and then I stayed here and got married and worked and eventually moved to Cooperstown, and we absolutely love it here.
May I ask about your family, and what was it like raising your kids in our community?
It was absolutely wonderful to raise our kids here because we specifically looked for a village or a community where we could raise children. When we moved here, I was expecting my first baby, who was born in June of '78. And so the first people I met when I moved to Cooperstown were the nurses and the doctors at Bassett. And then our son was born, and then as he grew up, I met other parents of other children, and so we felt very connected with all kinds of people in the community.
How has our community changed since the time you arrived here?
Oh, it has changed in a way. When we first moved to Cooperstown, we had several stores that are no longer exist. I could walk from my house on Delaware Street to the Victory Markets to go food shopping. So I could walk with my baby carriage and later on with a little red wagon behind me to go shopping. And those stores are not there anymore. And a lot of stores have changed to a more baseball-oriented souvenir shop type thing. So it's very hard to really do things locally these days.
How do you feel about these changes?
How do I feel about them? In a way they're good because they keep the community alive. If we wouldn't have tourists coming to our village, in a way it would be economically not that good. However, Cooperstown is the seat of Otsego County, and it was really vibrant that people could come here to shop. We had a department store that was a 2-level building that had everything you could want. There was no Walmart, there was no other chain stores around, so everybody came to Cooperstown to shop, and it was nice.
What's your most favorite memory in your life in this community?
My most favorite memory? Well, I would think the birth of my children, and their milestones as they grew up. And of course, being out on the lake, on a boat.
Have you ever worked in our community? If so, where?
I have worked in Cooperstown. I have worked for the village library of Cooperstown for some years, and I'm also still volunteering at the village library. And I have worked in a number of other businesses, such as a deli and other services. So yes, I've worked for the village library. Okay.
Have you volunteered at the library?
Say that again, please.
Have you? I think you volunteered at the library. Can you tell me how you got involved?
I got involved as soon as my children were old enough to go to the library. I would take them because we would go and read books and go to story hour. And I thought, I would like to be involved in this, and I started to volunteer. And then I worked there for a while. And so I always say my kids grew up in the village library of Cooperstown. That was our second home.
What have you and your family done for entertainment in this community through the years?
I would say mostly we would be out on the lake. We had a boat at one time, and swimming and going to Glimmerglass Park and Fairy Springs Park for cookouts and walking around. And especially when my children were smaller, they had tricycles. They were called big wheelers, and we would go to Glimmerglass Park and we all would zoom around on our bikes and they on their tricycles. And that was a lot of fun.
Do you have any experience that involved Otsego Lake?
Do I have experiences about Otsego Lake?
Yeah.
Yes. Swimming in the lake, in the middle of the lake, jumping off a boat in the middle of the lake and diving down through the water. And the water is crystal clear, and it's just the most amazing feeling. And you swim, and all of a sudden you swim through a very cold spot because there are springs in our lake. So the temperature changed from warm or comfortable to, oh, it's so cold. And that is the experience of swimming in the lake.
Do you know any legends or stories related to our lake or our community?
Yes. Through reading the Leatherstocking tales, I know about Sunken Island, and I know that, that this area was inhabited by Native Americans, and I used to tell my children, if you look in the woods up onto the hills, maybe you can see someone going very silently through the woods. And we used to take our boat close to Sunken Island and looked around, and we found that very interesting.
As we're coming to the end of our time together, I just have 2 more questions.
Yes.
What words of wisdom or advice do you give to the young people growing up in our community today?
Oh. Be involved and read, and don't find negative things about our community. Find the positive things about our community, because our community is still very healthy and vibrant. By looking around here in the school where you are right now, it's amazing what I see, and I love it. So be positive.
Is there anything else you would like to know about your life in this community?
What I would like to know?
Like us to know.
Oh, you. Okay. Well, that has me stumped. Okay, learn as much about the history of Cooperstown, the actual history of when this little village was settled and by whom, where the people came from, why they came here. Learn as much of Cooperstown's history. I know Cooperstown is well known all over the United States, even the world, for one reason and one reason only, and that is the National Baseball Hall of Fame and everything connected with it. However, Cooperstown has more to offer, more history, more other things, more other cultural things, and that's what you should focus on.
Thank you so much for meeting with me today. Your answers are so interesting. Many people will enjoy hearing about you and your life in Cooperstown.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.